Here we go, ladies and gents. It's time. We're finally doing a tier list. This is the content that people always want. Sturge, do you have a tier list? Do you have a tier list? On what specs are good? Here we go. This is going to be the most woke tier list you'll ever see. This is about Tuesday. So this is a Tuesday prediction. Prediction. Don't get mad. Stop freaking out. All right, so let's do this. Let's do this. What are going to be the S tier classes? Automatically, Death Knight. Fucking S tier. So, Unholy Decay on Tuesday is the only class not getting nerfed out of the meta classes. It's an automatic S tier. Demon Hunter is getting what? They're getting nerfed on their Leech and their Soul Rend. I feel like DH will still be good, but it also depends on the other meta, right? Oh, they're getting a Glimpse nerf. Oh my god, that's right. They're getting a massive Glimpse nerf. Oh yeah, that's true. If DH is getting a massive Glimpse nerf, I feel like that's a B tier. So I was only going to put them in A. Oh, they actually might be a low B or high C then. Like, let's be realistic. Like, we've seen a bunch of nerfs. When they nerfed DK a fuck ton, they were still good. Like, when they nerfed Unholy DK a fuck ton, they were still good. They're still S tier. So, maybe the DH nerf isn't that bad. I feel like they'll probably be a B tier, maybe a low B. But I'm trying to think. What I'm trying to think about right now is not just about the nerfs to Demon Hunter, but the buffs to other classes. So, like, let's think about this logically, right? Like, I feel like Feral does well into DH. I feel like Hunter, like, especially BM, does a lot of damage to DH. I feel like Rogues do good things, do damage to DH normally, especially now that they're getting nerfed on their survivability. So, like, this has got to be like this is a B tier. This is a B tier for sure. Maybe low B. Depending on the meta, it could still be A tier. It could be a low B, but I'm thinking B. So the way I view Shadow Priest, I've always been very honest about them when they're being good, when they're being bad, what counters them, how the nerfs are going to be. Shadow Priest is always a class. Whenever they get nerfed, they nerf their damage, which also nerfs their healing because they heal based on the damage they're doing with their dots. So they got nerfed on their damage, which nerfs their healing. They got nerfed on all their damage, I think. They got nerfed on their proc rate, which isn't the worst thing because you already have like an abundance of procs. But I feel like if people start dispelling more and you're doing less damage in general, so they have more uptime, it's all about momentum, right? It's going to be harder to get dots out. So less procs on top of proc rate getting nerfed. They also nerfed their Focus Will by 5%. So now Priest is going to take 5% more damage into all the melee. So because of that, I still think Priest is going to do really well. I still think they have a really good toolkit. I still think they have good mana for purging and MDing and shielding with their utility. So they don't ever go so they can still use their utility correctly. What are we thinking? I'm thinking a B tier. Like, I think Shadow Priest will still do really well. I think melee will be really hard, but I think Shadow Priest will do really well with casters. I guess I could put this in A tier. I'm going to say B. If I'm wrong, fuck it. It is what it is. If I'm wrong, it is what it is. It's a prediction. I feel like Shadow Priest will be like a B tier. It'll be like really good into some stuff, kind of like how Shaman is, right? It'll be really good into some stuff, probably really bad into others. So middle ground. So I'm gonna say B. All right, what's next? What's next? We got through all the S tier classes, right? Or no, we didn't do Demo. Demo lock. I feel like I have to say this. A number of times because everyone's gonna be like, "Bro, what? You put that in this tier?" It's a prediction, okay? Don't get mad. I'm predicting how it's gonna be. I could be right, I could be wrong. I think Warlock is low C, or Demo Lock is low C, probably D tier, to be honest, after these changes. This is an Omega low C tier / D tier. So they got nerfed on Dreadbite. They got nerfed on their big Fellstorm Burst, and then they got buffed on Demon Fire, which is their Tyrant. So Tyrant's gonna hit for like, what, 20k now? So, guys, once again, let me reiterate this. This tier list is a prediction based on the nerfs, the buffs, and the possible meta shift. I feel like Demo Lock is similar to Demon Hunter, where think about what classes are going to be good, right? Feral's going to be better. Hunter's going to be better. Jungle. Jungle destroys Demo Lock and one-shots their pet. The classes that Demo Lock plays with are also nerfed. So another thing you have to remember is what classes do Demo Lock play with right now? Shadow play, Demo Lock, Shadow Priest, and Demo Lock, DK. And possibly Ellie Shaman. But I would say the most common are Demo Shadow play, so Shadow Priest Demo Lock, and DK Demo Lock. Those are the most common comps you have, or the most powerful comps you have right now. And one of those got mega nerfed with Shadow Priest. I'm going to say Demo Lock is a C tier, possibly D, but I'm going to go with C. I feel confident in saying C tier, where they're not that great, but they're kind of still there. That's gonna be mine. We move on. We're moving on. What should I do next? We did all the S tier classes. Actually, no, we didn't do a SAS rogue. Okay, where do we put a SAS rogue? And then that's all the S tier, current S tier. So what is happening to a SAS rogue? They're getting their improved Garrote nerfed. Oh, their Iron Wire is getting nerfed too. So that's a pretty big deal whenever you get re-stealth, or you like Shadow Meld re-stealth, or Vanish Garrote, because you normally get 2 up. So because of this, what is the bonus damage from Garrote? How much damage is that? Total bonus damage of PvP is 75% with all the talents. Oh, so that's pretty big. Once again, we got to think about what classes are going to be good. I think Rhett's going to be better. I think Ellie's going to be better. I think Arms Warrior's going to be better. I think Windwalker Monk's going to be better. Hunter. I'm going to put Assass in B tier. What can Assass play with? So Assass can play with Lock, Shadow Priest, Mage. Ellie? Can you play Ellie with Assass? I feel like Ellie Assass Rogue hasn't been good in like 3 expansions. I feel like that hasn't been good in so long. It's been so long since Ellie Rogue has been good. Like literally since Legion. Asa DK? You think so? I could definitely see Asa DK being good at running people down, but I don't know how good it'd be overall in the meta, because I think rogues take a lot of damage. I'm feeling confident in a B tier with Asa, because I think the Garrote burst, like the Garrote damage buff, is a big deal, but I still feel like they're going to do a ton of damage, and they still have 40% MS with Shiv. How do we feel about that? How do we feel about B tier? Is that too high, too low? Like, I'm trying to think of what classes Rogue would play with, where it would just be better to have a Rogue instead of like a Warrior or something, right? I'm gonna say B's fine. I think B's fine, because I think B's like, I view B tier as very good into some things, kind of bad into others. That's how I view B tier. So like Shadow Priest, very good into caster, kind of bad into melee. That's how I view B tier. Can still play good comps too. All right, what next? What should we rank next? A lot of people are curious about Warrior because everyone's saying it's terrible. What did they do to Warrior besides D-Stance? Is that the only thing they changed? D-Stance? Ignore Pain is next patch. That's next patch. This is for the hot fixes, guys. This is for the hot fix, not next patch. This isn't a 10:05 tier list prediction. This is for the hot fixes. Did we put Arms Warrior above the other classes in B? I feel like a high B, low A tier. You can't put Arms plus DH in one tier? Why? Difference is too big? I don't really agree with that at all. Can't put Arms with DH even with DH nerfs? Damn, do you guys really think Arms is that bad, huh? I swear I could put low A for Arms Warrior and be happy. I'm gonna say low A. I'm gonna say low A, and here's the thing. It's not done. We're not done. Based on how I rank other classes, we'll move Warrior. So if I rank other classes that are good, and then I look at Warrior again, I'll change it maybe. We'll see. But we'll see. Don't freak out. Don't freak out. Mistweaver Monk, that's a fucking D tier. Delete that class from the game. I'm kidding. All right, let's go down. Oh my god, this is so tricky, dude. Why do people do tier lists? This is awful. I feel like I don't know where to put stuff. We need to put like a D tier class. Like, what's a D tier spec? What's a D tier spec? Is there anything D tier? Like, can we put Boomkin in D or C or something? Or like Fire Mage? We'll put Fire. There we go. Fire Mage. God awful spec. There we go. Outlaw Boomy Enhance? Oh yeah, I guess Enhance would be like... Enhance is definitely like a low C tier, right? Like, they can kind of play Turbo, but... HPAL C tier? Probably. I mean, let's see. Maybe we'll do healers. What is my reference point? Holy Pally will be my reference point? Put Pally at C tier. So if Holy Pally's C tier, the problem I have with tier lists is... I feel like it's hard to say with like healers, right? So when I look at healers... I think Evoker, Shaman, and Resto Druid are all equally as good. Is that fair for me to say? Like, I feel like they're all equally as good. So would I put them all in A, or would I put them all in S tier? Like, how would I rank that? Like, would I just put them all in S? Because I think those healers are all equally as good. I would say maybe the difference is I feel like Shaman gets countered pretty hard by melee, so I'd put it on the lowest part of A tier. Actually, let's think about this. Because, okay, let's think about this. Shaman's best comps are getting nerfed, correct? You play Shadow Play, and you play DHDK. And DH is nerfed, Shadow Priest is nerfed, Demo Lock is nerfed. But they're buffing Affliction, and I feel like Shaman Affliction could be good too. Mistweaver Monk? Well, Mistweaver Monk's getting some good changes, right? Monk is getting damage buffs slightly. Or they're getting nerfed on their RSK, but they're getting... The damage buffs are irrelevant, but aren't they getting healing? So Mistweaver's getting 5% overall. They already do good healing. They're getting a 5% overall buff. They're getting 5% Vivify. Is there a world where Mistweaver is low B tier? Let's be honest. Let's be honest with ourselves. Is Mistweaver gonna be able to play melee cleaves and do well? Yeah, I mean, Mistweaver design just sucks in PvP, right? Like, they have really good healing. Their mana's not terrible. Their design is just so bad for PvP because they cast everything. You think about Holy after the patch? Holy Priest or Holy Pally? I don't even know where to put Holy Priest because I feel like Holy Priest is going to be good. I feel like Holy Priest is going to be like a low B tier. The Holy Priest is getting, if you don't know, 3% overall healing buff on top of 10% on their heal, their flash heal, and 15% on their Serenity. That's what Holy Priest is getting. And you have to remember too, like I've said numerous times, Holy Priest does really well with mages and hunters. Survival Hunter got buffed. BM Hunter I think is good right now. And Feral got buffed. So, Jungle Cleave. So would that put Priest at a low B? Because I feel like Priest is better than Pally after the buffs. Like, after Priest gets buffed, I feel like they're going to be better than Pally. So if I put Pally at a C, then that means they need to be higher. Also, I need to do something about the healers. I need to do something about the healers. We're going to work on that in a second, though. We'll put Monk and Pally the same. I think they're equal. I think they're kind of meh. I think they're equal, and I'd put Dis bottom. Healer. This makes sense to me. I feel like Pally and Monk are kind of similar. And I feel like Dis Priest, because their mana is so bad, that they're lower. Especially if Holy is good. There are more Dis above 2400 than Pally, though. So would we even say that Dis Priest is bad? Like, would this make more sense for you? Oh, Dis Priest is getting a buff slightly with Flash Heal. So the Flash Heal buff was also for them, too. But you don't really press Flash Heal much on Dis Priest. It doesn't really do much. All of your healing on Dis Priest is shield. Dis Priest is getting changes next patch. So the 10.05 patch. 10.05 patch, Dis Priest is getting changes, not the hot fixes. So this is all based on what's going to happen Tuesday. So my opinion on Dis Priest versus Holy and the reason that Dis Priest does better than Holy in solo shuffle is because Holy Priest only brings healing to the table, and their healing sucks. Dis Priest actually gives damage and damage reduction, and can cleave better than Holy Priest. So that's why in a solo shuffle setting, when dampening ramps up fast as fuck, you have barrier, you have PS. It's a lot different. On top of damage. You can't do that on Holy Priest. Does Disc play jungle? You can play jungle on Disc too. But I feel like Disc is just really bad into the other classes like DKs and shit. How do we feel about healers? Because when I look at them, I think they're all equal. But at the same time, I feel like Druid might just be S tier. Because if Shadow Priest got nerfed, I feel like they're better. Like, let's say Shadow Priest gets nerfed, right? Which they are. And they're less popular. Shadow Priest shits on Druid harder than other healers. So they're S tier, right? Because I really feel like Shaman and Evoker are pretty similar. Like, my personal opinion and experience of playing them, I would say Shaman and Evoker are very similar. But whenever I play my Druid, I'm just smiling the whole fucking time. And I feel like they get better on Tuesday. I feel like this makes so much sense. Okay, we're going to move on. Maybe I'll change it later. But I like this more. I like this more. We need to figure out Affliction Lock and Ellie Shaman. If Affliction Lock is getting buffed by, what is it, 5% on Agony? 5% Agony, 5% Corruption, Drain Soul 10%. I don't know what the fuck any of these things are. I don't think this matters. They're getting their UA Dispel Backlash nerf, though. We have the best melee. We have the best healer. We need the best caster. What is going to be the best caster? Ellie. A lot of you think Ellie, really? I'm thinking between Ellie and Affliction. What is the best caster? Arcane. I don't know if I agree with that. Why is somebody talking about how broken Ellie is? Oh, I think people know. I think Ellie's insane. Devastation? Yeah, Devastation. I don't even know what to do with that spec. Like, I don't know where to put that spec. Well, I think Destro's getting massive buffs, but I don't know if they can live against a lot of the meta. But I also don't know if Ellie can live against a lot of the meta. I feel like Devastation's definitely going to be A tier. Like low A tier. So like, I feel like this is obvious, right? Like, I feel like this is very obvious that they're at least A tier. I feel like it's obvious that they're going to be at least A tier, right? Ellie and Affliction. So would they both be A tier? We need a best caster. That's the thing. We need a best caster. I think Devastation's B tier. Would you agree? Would you agree with a high B tier for Devastation? I feel like that makes sense. Because I think Devastation's weird because even if they do a lot of damage and they're really good, people don't know how to play with them yet. Like, people don't know what comps to play or anything yet. They kind of die to some stuff. I feel like they don't really know how it works yet. I feel like it's really hard to understand what the best caster is because it was very obvious that Shadow Priest was the best caster, right? It did insane damage. It was very tanky. It did good self-healing. It had good utility. It's pretty definite that Shadow Priest was S tier and the best caster. And now that I don't think they're going to be as great, like, what would be the best? Wait, Sevarks, you sincerely think Arcane is going to be the best caster? You really, genuinely, truly believe that it's going to be the best caster? Interesting. I feel like Arcane Mage gets owned by the stuff that's good, though, right? Like, I feel like Arcane is paper to warrior. Like, when you actually get to attack them, they're paper to warrior. I feel like they're paper to feral. No, I don't. I think people don't understand the way I view. Maybe I view a tier list differently from everyone else. When I look at B tier, I think these classes are good, but they're gonna struggle into some stuff and do better into others. That's how I feel. They're good. Sometimes they'll feel really good. Sometimes they'll feel really bad. That's how I view B tier. So that's why I put Shadow Priest there, because I think Shadow Priest is going to be good into casters, and I think melee are still going to be really hard. So that's how I view B tier. I do feel Arcane Residue might be unkillable. Ah, so that's why. So you're basing it off playing with a Resto Druid as well. I could see that. I've been queuing into more Arcane Mages recently, and they feel pretty insane. I just don't know if I agree that they would be S tier. I feel like Arcane Mage just has weaknesses. Like, I feel like disrupting an Arcane Mage is a lot easier than other classes. Like, when I look at the best casters, I feel like it's a lot easier to shut down an Arcane Mage compared to an Ellie or an Affliction Lock. Yes, that's how exactly, Style. There you go. So S tier is like the best spec. They don't lose to anything. They don't have counters. A tier is they're really good, but they're rough into some things. They're like maybe kind of rough into one thing. B tier is good, but rough into many. There's no God caster then? I feel like there isn't. I'm having a really hard time agreeing with with Ellie or Affliction being S tier. I feel like Ellie's like a high A, but I wouldn't say that it's the best caster. Yeah, so I would say the biggest counter to Ellie is melee cleaves, right? But like, what melee cleaves are going to be good? The way I see it is, I think TSG could be good. I think DHDK will still be good. I think those are going to be the better melee comps. I think Windwalker DK could be really good too. And I think those classes do well into Ellie, right? In terms of being able to kill them. I think maybe Kitty Cleave could be good. I think Ret Warrior is going to be better. So those classes do better into killing Ellie, right? However, I think Ret dies. I think Monk dies. And I think Demon Hunter is going to die. So if they can kill the Ellie, but the Ellie can also one-shot them, then how bad is Ellie really? Realistically, you know? Demo C tier? So the reason I'm putting Demo in C, like a high C tier, is because their best comp, which was Shadow Play, the best comp for Demo Lock is Shadow Priest Demo. That comp got nerfed pretty hard. They're getting nerfed on their Dreadbite, and they're getting nerfed on their big Fellstorm Burst, which is a lot of the reason you're killing people. So if that's the case, and then the classes that are going to be better are really good at killing Lock, I put it at high C because I think Demo will still be able to play a couple comps that are good, but I don't think it's going to be crazy OP. And before, I would say Demo was A tier. Like, I would say Demo was A tier before. You're putting Asa in B tier because you play SP Rogue. If a class is really OP in one comp, but sucks in others, I don't think that means that it's S tier or whatever the fuck. That is my personal belief. Think about when RMP was fucking insane. Would you put Fire Mage or Sub Rogue in S tier or A tier? No, because they fucking suck outside of Rogue Mage. So that's how I feel about Assas Rogue. Nobody can tell me with a straight face that Fire Mage towards the end of Shadowlands was high A tier, S tier. Or Sub Rogue was high A tier, S tier. Because it played one comp. In a way, Arms is A tier next week? Yeah, we have a lot of people that think Arms is completely awful, so I'm not sure. Arms is getting buffed two ways. It's getting buffed indirectly, and it's getting buffed because the D-stance change. I think a lot of people are freaking out about the tier list. Like, people for some reason think that there is a drastic difference between low A and high B. Like, that's literally the same as the difference between like an 88 on your test and a 90. or an 89 and a 90. What about Ret? I'm getting to Ret. I don't know where to place Ret. I don't know where to place Ret because I feel like Ret right now is towards the bottom of the melee, but they're getting buffed on their defensive CD. They're getting buffed on their bursts slightly with Final Reckoning. And then the classes that... So the thing about Ret 2 is that the classes that own Ret Pally are getting nerfed. So it's like, if I think that Ret is a high D, low C tier class, but these changes are happening Tuesday, where does that put them? Are they high C? Low B? Where would that put Ret? High C, low B? Like, where would they be? I think B is fair. I feel like Ret being a low B or a high C tier is good. I don't think Ret is A tier for, like, not at all. I definitely don't think Ret is going to be A tier. It's hard to say. Because, like, what's going to be the best melee? Like, DK is going to be the best melee, we think. Like, all these classes, I don't know where to put. Like, I don't know where to put Feral. I feel like Feral is going to be really good. So would I place Feral higher than Warrior or lower than Warrior? You guys think Feral's S tier? I don't know. I think Feral is really good, yeah. But I don't know if would I put them in the same category as... No way you put Feral lower than Ellie? I mean, where I put it on the list is irrelevant depending on their DPS. I have the casters. Like, these are just casters. And these are melee. And then these are healer. So I don't have Feral. I'm not putting Feral higher than Ellie. Overall. I just put it above Warrior. If everyone has weaknesses, it's not S. Arduin and DK both have weaknesses. What are the weaknesses to Residruid, though? Because Residruid, the weakness is Purge. But Shadow Priest got nerfed. Residruid also plays really well with melee cleaves. Maybe nothing is S tier anymore? I mean, I would kind of agree with that. I said this earlier. I feel like Shaman and Evoker and Residruid are all very similar. I feel like they're all really similar and really close together. So that's why I don't know if I would put Residruid in like the God mode S tier. Should we swap it up to something we haven't ranked yet? Where would we put Hunter? Survival's getting buffed. Hunter's getting 2% damage, 10% on Carve and Butchery, which are what, AoE, and then 15% bomb damage. I feel like BM is actually pretty solid right now. Like, out of all the Hunter specs, I would say that towards higher rating, that Marksman's probably the worst. So if Marksman's the worst, and that's our basis for the specs, where would we put Marksman? Like, would Marksman be a C tier spec? I feel like Marksman is good at like cheesing people, but I don't think Marksman's that great overall. So would that be like a low B, C, high C tier spec? Magic Moon double tap? Yeah. I mean, this isn't for 10.05. I mean, when 10.05 comes out and they remove double tap from the game, Hunter doesn't even make the fucking list. Like, we can't even put Hunter on the list at that point. So this is for Tuesday. This isn't even for 10.05. This is for Tuesday. Like, would Survival and BM ever be in a spot where they're the same tier? See, like I said, reading chat while people do this is why tier lists are such good content. Because Kasu and Big Mex both think Survival's really good. But now I have someone else who's a good player telling me Survival's terrible. And then when I talk to Jelly, he thinks Survival's good, and it's getting buffed. So it's like, I don't know. I guess this is why tier lists are such good content, because everyone sits here and just argues about like what is good and bad. And everyone also says that their class is worse than it is. Except for Seavarks, who thinks Arcane is better than I think it is. I feel very comfortable with Marksman. I feel like Marksman is a very good spot. I think Marksman's in a good spot right here on the tier list. Like, I think this makes sense, because I think Marksman is like kind of cheesy, but not that great. You're not putting Shaman in E tier? I think Shaman's good. I'm still having trouble putting Shaman and Druid and Evoker not in the same tier. Because I really think that Shaman, Evoker, and Druid are all very similar. HP definitely better than Priest. Do you think that's going to be the same after the buffs, though? I don't know if I agree with that after the buffs, because I feel like Holy Priest is like pretty close to doing well. I think Holy Priest has potential, don't get fucking mad, has potential to be good after the buffs, which is why I put it there. This is just a gamble. How would I rank Destro, Lock? Because Destro, I don't think is worse than Demo. I feel like Destro could be worse than Demo on Tuesday, but I also don't know if I truly believe that it will be. If I have Demo here, then why would I put Destro there? I feel like Destro being on the same tier as like Boomy and Enhance and Demo as well doesn't really make sense. Like, if anything, I would put Demo like here. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Outlaw. Where would we put Outlaw? Everyone on Europe thinks that Outlaw is really good. I've played with Outlaw Rogue a little bit. It feels okay. I feel like their 2-set is much needed though. So where would we put Outlaw Rogue? This is just counting gear, yes. This is counting having gear and stuff, yes. I feel like Outlaw could definitely be in the same tier as Assass Rogue. I'm not convinced that saying Outlaw is better than Assass though, because I think Assass with Shiv alone, like having Shiv alone 40% MS is extremely valuable. Does Devastation Evoker have other comps outside of Frost DK? I'm not actually sure. Devastation's really weird. I feel like Devastation Evoker is not quite figured out yet in terms of what comps it works best with. I don't think any of the healers are honestly the best. I can't say that Druid, Evoker, and Shaman are like vastly different in terms of how good they are. That's why I don't know where to rank them as the top healers. I also feel like Mistweaver, I feel like this makes more sense. Because I think Holy Priest in Solo Shuffle is by far the worst at the moment, but they're going to get buffed, and I think they're going to have decent comps as well. So I think they're going to be better than Disc. This is so difficult to do. Holy fuck. Are we almost done with this? Are we almost done? We have what? So we're not going to put up tanks because, I mean, tanks are obviously all D tier. Like, I don't think tanks are good at all. So that means we have what? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 specs. We have 6 specs left to put on the list, and then I think I might change a few around depending on how we do with that. So depending on how the list actually looks at the end, everything feels really close together. Outside of a few specs, like outside of like Boomkin and Enhanced Shaman and Fire Mage, like everything feels really close. So I just don't know where to put things. Why is Druid not S tier? Well, it was. I did have it in S tier. I was saying how I don't know if I agree with that though. You still haven't ranked Destro? I know. I don't know where to put Destro. I feel like Destro would be a high C tier. The way I feel about Destro Lock is, I think out of all the specs, it's like probably the worst spec out of the Warlock specs. And I think a big thing too is that I feel like Demo and Destro are similar in terms of the threat that they pose in the game, but they don't have a Mortal Strike. And I feel like Mortal Strikes are just too good in WoW. The problem with Affliction Lock is they keep buffing their damage over and over and over, but they can't actually end the game. Demo Lock could end the game. You fucking double stun coil somebody, they die. So it doesn't make sense to me to have Affliction be so high. But I don't know where I'd rank the Warlock specs in terms of what's better, because I feel like they're all kind of similar. We really think Demo's still the best? Maybe. I don't know where to put Warlock. Let's move on. Let's do Frost Mage. So Frost Mage is getting buffed, right? They're buffing random shit. They're buffing Frostbolt 20%, buffing Ray of Frost by 40, Glacial by 10. Yeah, Glacial's getting offset. So the Glacial nerf doesn't matter. You don't Frostbolt too much on Frost, I would say. Whenever I watch them play, it's just a lot of instants. It's hard to spam Frostbolt. But the good thing about Frost Mage is that Demo Lock and Shadow Priest are getting nerfed slightly, and Demon Hunter, which obviously fucking own Frost Mage. So it's like, it kind of helps them out, like an indirect buff. Ellie Frost Mage? You know what comp I played that was randomly kind of good? Frost Mage Devastation. I played that comp last week, and that comp felt randomly kind of sleeper good. I don't know. I feel like you can play Frost Mage with Shadow Priest. I feel like you can play it with Devastation. You can probably play it with Destro Lock too. Damn, a lot of you guys actually think Frost Mage will be a low A tier spec above Shadow Priest, where I have it right now. That's really surprising. I feel like it's going to be B tier, man. I don't know if I can agree with A tier. I don't know if I can agree with A. Like this order, I don't even care about this order at all. I can't put Frost in A tier. I feel like Frost is similar to how I think Shadow Priest is. Like I think Shadow Priest is in a position where they're going to be really good into some stuff, kind of troll into others. Like I think Shadow Priest is going to be good when you fight mainly casters or melee caster, but once you fight the warriors and the melee cleaves and the DK melee cleaves, like your class is going to be kind of troll. And I feel like Frost Mage is kind of similar, a little bit better when you fight melee than casters, because I think the casters just kind of out cleave Frost. I kind of want to move warrior down. Like warrior's getting indirectly buffed because of some classes, but they're also getting their D-stance buffed to a 15% damage reduction instead of 20. So they can do more damage. I kind of want to move warrior down. Yeah, I think 1005 arms will be a lot better, but I don't know if I would agree with it being A tier. Okay, I think we're doing great. I think we're almost there. I think we're getting there. I think we're getting there. I think we're slowly getting there. Where do we put Fury Warrior? Because people still play Fury, but it's not crazy OP, and it's not bad. Is Fury like a high C tier, low B? Like recently too, I've been fighting way more arms warriors. I don't know if they're getting ready for the patch or something, but like the last week and a half, I've been fighting way more arms warriors than Fury. So it's definitely lower than arms, but where would it be? I feel like Fury is like C. I swear Fury is like a C tier. The thing is though, like looking at this, Enhance is weird because I feel like Enhance is going to be good with Warrior and playing Turbo, but I think Enhance individually kind of sucks. And I feel like Boomkin is the same. Like Boomkin Windwalker I think could be good. I think Boomkin Ellie could potentially be good. I think Boomkin with a mage could be good. But I don't think Boomkin is actually good. So would that be like D tier? Okay, this kind of makes more sense. This kind of makes more sense. Do we all agree that this makes more sense? So when I say D tier, I don't think it's terrible and unplayable. I just think it's not too great. Okay, moving on. Now that we've got that settled, Windwalker Monk. Oh, how do we feel about Windwalker Monk, man? How do we feel about Windwalker? I feel like Windwalker is... Let's look at what they're getting again. Let's understand this. Let's break it down. So Windwalker in PvP, their Blackout Kick's getting buffed, their Tiger Palm's getting buffed, their Thunder Fist, which is their big burst from Strike of the Windlord, is getting nerfed 40%. So right now it hits for what? If you back-to-back hit somebody with it, with your attack, your melee attack, it's what? It hits for like upwards of... It's like 50k average. Like what's the average of Thunder Fist? Like 50k? I've seen people get hit by 70k, but I don't know if that's a crit or not. Was that a crit? What's Thunder Fist average? 60k average? Like normal hit? 80k, 60k? Like the normal hit, a normal Thunder Fist, I would say 50 to 60, correct? That means if it does 50k, it's getting nerfed 40%. That means it's going to do what? 30k instead? It's going to be about 30k. Their Kiefer's is getting nerfed as well, but their Fist of Fury damage that gets buffed by their tier set and gets buffed by the different talents they have. Well, I forgot what it's called. The stacking buff is getting buffed by 15%. So they're losing burst, more sustain. And I feel like Blackout Kick does a lot more now. Am I correct in saying that? I feel like Blackout Kick, when you play the talents for it and like the extra swings or whatever, I forgot what that thing's called. Teachings of the whatever the fuck. Where am I gonna put Windwalker, dude? I feel like Windwalker automatically has to be high B, low A. It's at least a B tier. No fucking shot it's not. So it's gotta be like low A, high B. Windwalker DKA, Windwalker without DKB? Pretty much. Like I think their best comp is gonna be without DK. Damn, so do we put it at low A? Do we say fuck it, low A? So the problem that I have with Windwalker and high B is that I feel like out of all the melee, they're probably the squishiest. Outside of like Enhanced Shaman, but fuck Enhanced Shaman. Like what comps do we think are going to be meta? Like obviously Double Caster I feel like is going to be good. DK Cleaves are going to be good. I feel like Jungle's going to be really good. And Jungle eats Windwalkers alive. Like they just delete that class. And then Rogues too, yeah. Assassin Rogues farm DK, or Windwalker. Sub-Rogue farms Windwalker. All right, moving on. I feel like Frost DK is going to be the hardest one to rank because everyone's freaking out about Frost DK. So we're going to do Sub first. We're going to save Frost DK for last. Where do we put Sub-Rogue? Sub-Rogue can still work with Mage. Can maybe work with Devastation and Shadow. I feel like Sub-Rogue is like a high C tier. Like, I feel like Sub-Rogue individually is okay, but it doesn't have like any crazy comps that aren't just better with a different spec of Rogue. Like I feel like the comps that it can play outside of Rogue Mage are just better with other specs. If we're basing it off not only how good it is individually, not only how good it is in solo shuffle and threes, but also the comps they can play, I feel like that just makes sense. Like a low B, high C tier, right? And like I said, the difference between low B and high C, who fucking cares? Here we go. We did Sub-Rogue. We're not completely done. This isn't finalized, but it's time to move on to the kicker. Frost DK. Where the fuck do we put this spec? Where do we put this spec? DK is not getting changed, right? They're not doing anything to DK. Where do we put Frost DK? Sleeper A tier. Sleeper good. I feel like Frost DK is similar to Sub Rogue, where individually it's decent, but it just doesn't have like crazy comps. Like I think Frost DK is good with the Evoker, like Devastation Evoker. We've seen they can do some crazy one-shots. I think Frost DK can work with Windwalker still. I think Frost DK could work with Ret as like some troll gimmicky one-shot. I feel like Frost has to be high C. Like you actually see, that's the thing too, right? Like we've seen that recently too. I don't know if you guys have watched any of the 3s we've played recently, but Frost DKs can actually set up so much easier now because Death Grip is just 40 yards. So it's a lot harder to actually avoid the grip blind into uninstall. So would Frost be like a mega low B tier? That's where it gets tricky. That's where it gets really tricky. It's a DK automatic S tier. Honestly, if we tweeted out Frost DK was S tier, we'd probably get canceled. I mean, cancel culture is fake anyways, but people would try to cancel us, dude. If people saw this, they would try to cancel us so fucking hard. Yeah, we can't do that. We can't put that there. Honestly, the way I look at DK, I would feel comfortable. Like, I would feel okay with putting DK low B. I can put it here and be happy. I can put it low B and be happy. Okay, now, this is where we need to figure out the best things. This is where we figure out what needs to slightly be tweaked. I don't like how all the Warlock specs are in the same tier. I don't like how I have Rogue and Ret so close together. I need to move the lock specs. Honestly, I can finish this here and be done. Like I can have this here and I'd be done with it, and I wouldn't give a single fuck. There's only a couple things that I'm like kind of iffy on. You think Ellie Shaman is S tier? A lot of people really think Ellie is S tier, but I don't know if I really agree. Maybe it is, because we need an S tier caster and healer, right? Oh my god, I just made it so much worse, dude. I feel like if I'm gonna put Demo in A, then I need to put Shadow Priest in A. Even though I really think Shadow Priest is a high B, I could definitely see it being a low A tier. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. We need to make one more change, because I don't know if I agree with Ellie being S tier. I feel like I could put Arms in A and be happy. Ellie Destro Druid all day. I don't think... I'm going to make an executive decision. I don't think Demo is an A tier spec. I really fucking don't. I would rather put Destro than Demo in S tier. I don't think Demo is S... or A tier, sorry. I don't think Demo is A tier. I really fucking don't. Like, I'd rather put Destro or Affliction at A tier than a Demo lock. I think one of the Warlock specs is going to be A tier between Affliction and Destro. I think between Affliction and Destro, they're going to be A tier. I just don't know which one. I really just don't know. Okay, before I'm done with this list, I need to make one change and then I'm done. One more change and then I'm done. I need to move one of the Warlock specs. I still think Shadow Priest is high B. I don't really agree with A. I feel like Affliction definitely has potential to be A tier or Destro, because Affliction is just getting buffed more. And also, Affliction does really, really, really well with Resto Druids, and I think Resto Druids are arguably the best, if not tied for the best with, or tied for top healer. You know, they're in the argument, they're in the conversation with Shaman and Evoker. Yeah, a lot of the Euros think S tier, think Ellie is S tier. I don't know if I agree. I actually don't know if I agree, but the Europeans, they love Ellie Shaman, man. They love Ellie Shaman. Yeah, I mean, I think Ellie's really good too. I just don't know if I agree with S tier, but I mean, maybe it is. Because it's also comps they can play, right? Like, I think Ellie with any of the Warlock specs will do really well. I think Ellie with Mage will do really well. I think Ellie with Warrior can do well. I think Ellie with Rogue could do really well too, with a Sass Rogue. Like, in terms of their best comps, I can see all of those being sick. All right, I'm done. We did it. Fuck it. We're done. We're done. This is all speculation. This is all prediction. This is the fucking tier list. All predictions, all speculation on what's going to be good on Tuesday. If I'm wrong, then I'm fucking wrong. Who cares? Who cares? We did it. Actually, no. Oh, fuck, man. This is so annoying. Oh my god, we're not done. We didn't do it. I still don't agree that Shadow Priest is A tier. Like, I actually just don't. I just don't agree with it. I think Shadow Priest can already hard like not kill DK, and they're getting a massive nerf to their damage and their proc rate and their survivability. I think Shadow Priest already gets railed by melee. I'm putting Shadow Priest high B, high A, high B, high B. I agree with this. This makes more sense to me. This makes way more sense to me. All right, I did it. This is it. This is the list. We fucking did it.